Good evening to you. Welcome to the West Ham Voice on Tuesday evening. I wasn't going to do a show, but I thought I would because after making an inquiry about our transfer activity, I was given some interesting updates. Now, whether it's a wake-up call or whether it's from the way we played against Sunderland on Saturday, or whether it's because we have movement of players leaving West Ham pretty imminently, or whether this was the plan all along, I can kind of exclusively reveal that West Ham United today have submitted 3 bids for midfielders in the transfer market. Now, how has this come about? Well, earlier today, I asked for an update on Edson Alvarez and how our transfer plans were going to replace him. I initially asked whether interest in Alvarez by the 4 different clubs that have been named were all loan offers or whether any of these clubs were looking to buy the player. Now, the reply was, sadly, they are all loan offers. Now, it's thought that not only Ajax have been interested, but we also know about Fenerbahce, but there has been interest as well from Porto as well as Borussia Dortmund. Now, some of these offers that have been made, loan offers, are more lucrative to West Ham than others. For Fenerbahce, for instance, would be willing to pay a loan fee plus take on all of Alvarez's £5 million salary. Now, I guess, given that we're clearly in a position yet again to have to move players on before we can bring players in, I guess this is probably the best of a bad deal. Receiving a loan fee as well as paying all of his wages. Of course, what we'd rather have is a straight sale so that we can generate money to bring players in. But I guess, given that we can't sell any of our players, a good loan offer with a fee applied and taking on the player's whole salary is probably better than nothing. Now, when I was told that all the offers for Alvarez were just loan offers, I asked whether that meant whether we were unable to buy any replacements and would we, West Ham United, have to look at bringing in players on loan in return. And the reply was no. 3 bids have been made today. Now, naturally, I got a little bit excited and thought that, look, we're going to go and sign 3 players, but not so. The response was definitely looking good for 1 signing, quite possibly for 2, but definitely not signing 3. So that's where we're at with what is happening with Edson Alvarez at the moment. He's 100% leaving. Who is going to at this moment in time? We don't know. I guess the best deal for West Ham and the player will be the one that wins his signature. And I think Alvarez will be gone within the next day or so. But at the same time, at least we're definitely in for replacements. And the hope that we sign at least 2 of the 3 players that we made bids for is, I think, a bit of a relief, I guess. But of course, nothing is done until offers are accepted and contracts are signed. So who are the 3 players that we made bids for? Now, it seems from different reports that are coming out today that the 3 players that we're targeting are Ngal'Ayel Mukau of LOSC Lille, Andrey Santos of Chelsea, and Fabio Vieira of Arsenal. So of those 3 players, which 2 are more likely? Now, everyone actually believes that the player that we're really going to get, of course, is Josh Brownhill, a free agent. And of course, there is still a distinct possibility of that happening if we don't succeed with any of the bids that we've submitted today. But why? But the reason why at this stage I don't think it is Brownhill is that given that he is a free agent, we could have easily have signed him by now. It would have been an easy one to do to get it over the line. But as a last resort, if all else fails, it won't surprise me if we go for Edson Alvarez. Would I mind us getting him? Well, I would sooner rather the likes of Mukau, Santos, or Vieira. They're younger players with longer futures ahead of them. But for a player who can probably do a job for the here and now, I guess Brownhill would be and still be a massive improvement on what we currently have, but he wouldn't be my preferred choice. Now, clearly, I was not going to be given the names of the players that we bid for, but as I said, based on the info that's out there, I think Ngal'Ayel, Mukau is most definitely probably the one that is the one that's almost definitely over the line. Now, the names of this player, of this player was suggested a few days after we played LOSC Lille at the London Stadium. And it's my understanding that X has also confirmed on his Monday night show that it is highly likely that the unnamed player in League One that we've made a bid for is Mukau. As for the names of the other two, as I've said, there's a strong suggestion that Arsenal's Fabio Vieira is one of the two, and Chelsea's Andrey Santos is the other. Now, there is, of course, other names like Bilal El Khanous of Leicester City, who we might also look at. But my understanding is that it's primarily Santos and Vieira that we're looking at. Now, if you watch the West Ham Weekly on Monday night, you'd be aware that I didn't necessarily big up Vieira, and I suggested that Santos might well be out of our reach. But as I've said, I think Mukau, out of the three, is a dead cert. It's just a matter of which of the other two we get in as well as him. Now, for Mukau, I think it would absolutely add some bite and pace in our stagnant midfield and would make a world of difference to what we currently have. He would be a direct replacement for Alvarez, without a doubt, and would complement the likes of Freddie Potts to play alongside him. That's if Freddie Potts actually gets any game time at West Ham this season. But would he be better than Alvarez for what we need? Well, here's a head-to-head comparison, and you decide. Now, between the two, they're kind of similar in a way. Now, Mukau, 20 years of age. Edson Alvarez is 27. Mukau, Belgian-born, but he represents Congo, whereas, as we know, Alvarez is also an international for Mexico. Previous clubs, KV Mechelen for Mukau, whereas we bought Alvarez from Ajax. Now, positions, holding midfielder, defensive midfielder, one and the same thing, I would say, wouldn't you? Appearances last season, Mukau, 36 for Lille, Alvarez, 50 plus for West Ham since he signed for us. Mukau's record of goals and assists, 2 goals, 1 assist. Alvarez, surprisingly, only 2 goals and 3 assists. Style of play, Mukau, young, dynamic, a ball-winning player, and Alvarez, experience, physical, tactical. Now, for tactical fit, Mukau is seen as a long-term investment option with high potential. His performances in League One caught the eye of several clubs, West Ham in particular, and he would be seen as a possible successor to Edson Alvarez, as I've already mentioned. Alvarez, however, is more seasoned. You know, he's had an inconsistent spell at West Ham, and his desire to leave the club kind of opens the door for Mukau's arrival. Now, West Ham, as I've said, are in a situation where we're in a sell before we buy mode. Alvarez's departure will trigger Mukau's signing. Now, Mukau is a left-footed defensive midfielder who blends physicality with technical promise. At 20 years of age, he's already showing signs of becoming a complete midfield presence. Good ball winning and press resistant, progressive carrier of the ball. He's versatile. He's primarily a holding midfielder, but he has been deployed in central and attacking midfield roles. And with that, in the Champions League last season, he scored a brace against Bologna when he was played further up front. But Mukau is still raw. He blends athleticism with tactical awareness. It makes him a high upside prospect. And he's a hybrid between a bit of a destroyer in the middle of the park and a deep-lying midfield carrier of the ball. Alvarez, as we know, seasoned defensive midfielder. You know, he ranks amongst the top in possession recoveries, successful tackles, aerial duels. His physicality and timing make him, a wall in front of the back line. Definitely what we missed last Saturday. At Ajax, he was one of the most prolific carriers of the ball in the league. Didn't do that much for West Ham, though. Alvarez is dangerous in the air, good at set pieces, free kicks, etc. And he's got that aggressive edge to him, hasn't he? Sometimes it overspills in getting a lot of yellow and red cards. Now, Alvarez, ironically, has been compared to Rodri and apparently was meant to fill the void left by Declan Rice, but we didn't see him emulate much of the qualities of those two players over the last 2 seasons he's been with us. Now, Mukau, his versatility, he can fit in a 4-2-3-1 system, a 4-3-3, a 3-4-2, 1-3-5-2. You know, he can fit in that central role in any system that you play. He carries the ball through midfield rather than relying on long passes. So he's someone that who could take the ball and take it with him. You know, something that we don't currently have at the moment. He's comfortable in tight spaces. He's still developing, but he's passionate. He's disciplined. And he would be suited to play alongside another kind of pivot player. Alvarez, the classic holding midfielder. He can play in a variety of formations as well. He's not flashy in progression, Alvarez. He communicates well, often directing teammates, and he thrives in a system that requires a disciplined anchor man. So they both have qualities, but we're in transition. And given that we are in transition, if we want a fluid, aggressive style of player, Mukau offers that, definitely. If we want to stick with a compact mid-block system, then Alvarez would. Now, which of the two? It makes sense. Well, given that Alvarez is leaving anyway, I think a player like Mukau would fit in really well. Yes, he's young. Yes, he's raw, but we need that. We need that energy. We need that drive. He's got pace in him as well. So what about the other two? Given that it's going to be Mukau plus one of another two, which of the two between Vieira and Santos would you prefer? Well, I guess first of all, this depends on which club will sell their player. I think it's looking like Arsenal are definitely looking to move Vieira on, but Santos may be a lot harder to prize off Chelsea than we think. If reports are to be believed, we've apparently made a bid for Santos, which has been turned down. But will we go back in for him? It looks like quite possibly we would. Now, what about the two players? How do they differ? Clubs, Arsenal loaned Vieira out to Porto last season. Chelsea loaned Santos out to Strasbourg last season. So you've got a Portuguese player against a Brazilian player. Vieira's 25 years of age, Santos 21. Vieira, he's a creative playmaker, a bit of finesse, a bit of a fine passer of the ball. Whereas Santos is a box-to-box, physical, tenacious midfielder. Last season, Santos's transfer value is around about £19 million. It's suggested that Vieira's transfer value is regarded at about £19 million. It's suggested that Santos could be worth anything up to 50 million. Now, role in the squad for Arsenal, Vieira is surplus to requirements at Arsenal, whereas Santos is considered to be vital cover. But given the depth of the squad that they've got at Chelsea, would he get any game time? I don't know, is the honest answer, which is why I think we're chancing our arm to see if Chelsea will sell him to us. Now, differences. Vieira is a more of a technical player, attacking midfielder who thrives in possession-heavy systems, but he struggled to impose himself physically in the Premier League. Santos, on the other hand, is a dynamic box-to-box midfielder with leadership qualities and a knack for scoring from deep. His physicality and versatility make him a more complete option for clubs who need midfield steel. Tactical differences. Vieira suits teams that need a creative spark and can afford to carry a bit of a lightweight technician in their side. Santos fits high-intensity systems and could be a long-term solution for clubs needing midfield balance and energy. Look, if you were to build a midfield from scratch, who would you go for? An anchor or someone with flair and firepower? I think it's sort of obvious, isn't it, that given what Santos offers, the box-to-box energy, defensive work rate, ball progression, goal threat, leadership qualities, I think it's him that would stand head and shoulder above Vieira. But is he the sort of player that we can get? I think we've got to go for it. Do I think we'll get Santos? I think we've got more chance of getting Vieira. But if we get Vieira and we get Mukau as well, having that defensive dynamism in Mukau and then the attacking flair of Vieira, that could work for us. I could see that happening. If it was Santos, in a way, I still think we need, two players if Alvarez leaves. But getting Santos in a way would actually give us the cover that we need. And then maybe we can use what we have in the squad with the likes of George Earthy coming back, Crescencio Somerville coming back, Guilherme when he comes back from injury, etc. Maybe Santos is enough. So you can see there's a lot of difference there. I think Mukau is nailed on. I think of Santos and Vieira. I think Santos would be the preferred player, but I think Vieira will be the easier one to get. Going to be interesting times. It looks like, as I've said, Alvarez is on his way, as we already know. It looks like Mukau would be the one to come in to replace him. And then of the other two bids that we've made, would it be Vieira or would it be Santos? I think Vieira would be the easier one to get. I think Santos would be an absolute coup. Let's see what happens over the next few days. Thank you for watching and listening. If you want to become a subscriber of the channel and a member of the channel, click on the link that's been scrolling along the bottom of the screen. Thank you for watching and listening, and I'll see you all very soon.